How's today, everybody? I'm Jason Salas here, being joined in the wonderful confines of California Pizza Kitchen with a living legend in the swimming community, someone who truly has been competing internationally, three-time Olympian Matthew Dunne, now joining us on Guam, gracing us with his presence to talk to young athletes about the sport, about preparation, and I'm sure, Matthew, a bunch of stuff. So truly an honor to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, we're the same age too. We just found that out. So your first Olympics was in '92 in the Barcelona games, the year we both graduated from high school.
Yeah. So '92, I have to admit, I probably didn't know what I was doing at '92. I was a little bit young, a little bit green. But over the three Olympics, each Olympics was a different experience, and you know, learning all the time.
Now some athletes and even some coaches say sometimes ignorance is bliss. You just rely on your training.
Exactly.
You just go in and don't let the moment get too big. What did it mean when you went through '92, '96, and 2000, and how you matured as an athlete, as a competitor, and your preparation?
Yeah, for sure. '96 was probably my most successful. A couple of fourth places, number of finals. Final in Barcelona. Just missed the finals at a home Olympics in 2000, but it was a great experience. Home Olympics, everyone tries to hang on a little bit longer to make the team, and all the young kids, pop up. So, Ian Thorpe's first games.
I was going to say 2000 was a torpedo year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So fortunate to have broken a world record with Ian, the 4x2 a couple of years prior at the Commonwealth Games. So it was great to finish my career at the start of guys like Ian Thorpe and Grant Hackett and those guys.
Okay, so now you're an administrator. You are an executive in World Aquatics and many organizations. You're here on Guam to talk to these athletes. Some of our very finest are behind me. Ocean Campus, Amaya Bollinger, Derek Bollinger, a '96 Olympian himself. They've got like a lot of questions, but is there a general theme or a message that you're conveying to these young people?
Yeah, at the moment, I'm Vice President of World Aquatics and President of Oceania Aquatics. And being an athlete and an ex-athlete, I was also from the country in Australia. So very similar challenges that a lot of the island federations have around facilities, traveling to events, funding. They're all a lot of the same issues. Very different and diverse from the North Pacific to the South Pacific. But Oceania is a very unique place. We've got 15 federations. And we all just want to see that pathway for the athletes.
And Guam's in the same time zone as Australia.
Exactly, yeah.
When we organize or when we configure our Windows computers, when we're setting the time, we just look for Port Moresby. That's always us. Yeah. But what questions do they have for you about getting their mind right, having the competitor's advantage? Because now it's I'm sure you would agree that. Training right now, there's so much mental toughness, having the competitive spirit, not letting things get you down too much, taking time to perhaps meditate or stepping away and everything like that. Whereas when we were young and everything, it was just train, try and be as physically ready as you can.
Exactly, yeah. And the two generally go hand in hand. If you're prepared in the pool, that definitely helps your mental preparation. Within Oceania, we're very focused on coaching the coaches, making sure the coaches have the knowledge to be able to support the athlete pathway through. We try to have certain high performance development camps around major events, maybe a World Championships. We've got one coming up in July. A couple of the athletes here will be competing in that.
The Pacific Mini Games.
Yeah, Pacific Mini Games. Yeah. And that's a perfect sort of trial opportunity for the athletes to get their head around the psychology of racing. We've got an Olympics on our doorstep coming up in Brisbane 32. It's an Oceania Olympics. So it's a really great opportunity to be able to have and start to facilitate pathway camps pretty much from now. Anyone who's 14, 15, they're on the radar for Brisbane. So we want those athletes to be knocking on the door of direct qualification, and finals or B finals would be a great achievement.
And so many people, Matt, tend to not really understand the psychology of racing. They just think you just go in there and you just sprint as fast as you can and everything like that. There is a strategy, there is a tactic, there is a mindset of doing that. Was that true when you competed? To pace yourself, to prepare, to understand what's going on around you in the pool.
Yeah, it definitely was, but I think it's definitely refined to another level since when I was competing. I was individual medley swimmer. a very strategic race. You've got all 4 strokes. You've got to judge your pace, judge your technique relative to the other athletes. We've recently announced that the 50 form strokes will be now in the Olympics coming up in LA, which is a great opportunity, particularly for a lot of the island federations who, are just naturally strong. It's a great opportunity for that. But the refinement of their skills is critical in that. Start, execution all the way through the race and the finish.
And that's interesting. Has the sport of competitive swimming really changed that much in the last 25, 50, 75 years?
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
Okay. How so?
Yeah. I think just the technology around diet, psychology, training sets, the physiology understanding is really next level. The technical changes, just really raising things up. I've got 3 boys myself, and I know at the moment my 15-year-old is swimming much faster than when I was 15. So
you hold that as a barometer of say, like, this is where Dad was at, and this is where you can actually track that from an analytics perspective.
Yeah, he's benchmarking himself off who's the best
there's
the record holders in Australia. So which is nice. It's great to be able to sort of give back in that sense, and it's exactly the same challenges that these kids are going through, and we want to give every opportunity we can. We've been here this week with ONOC meetings. So we've had a lot of Olympic solidarity discussions around trying to maximise funding for these camps. And I think there's some really great opportunities on the horizon for that.
I mean, it always comes down to money. And they say, and a lot of the times, from what I understand, covering, people who've become like friends of mine, is people just say, oh, you're on an island, like you can train in the beach. You can train at, like a commercial port or something like that. But to have proper facilities built for the specific purpose of Olympic caliber training and like world championship training, that's a whole different ball of wax. And I mean, it really does take money.
Exactly right. Yeah. And we've had some discussions with the NOC here, the National Olympic Committee. We had a tour of some of the facilities that need some refurbishment work, like Leo Palace. And we're trying to work out how we can, help facilitate that and consolidate resources and make that happen. And who needs to be spoken to, and hopefully, we can work with the government, with the private sector and World Aquatics to get some some of those back on track.
All right. Well, everybody loves a winner, and Matt definitely is getting us on the track for that. And Matthew, if I may, my final question, because it is dinner time. I'm sure you're quite hungry, so I'm going to let you get to it. But how impressed have you been with the hunger of our local athletes to train, to get involved? For the ones who are maybe like in their 18, 19 and getting ready to go to university and everything, to pass down, impart wisdom on the younger ones and everything, and keep this thing going.
Yeah. I think that cultural element is critical, and that comes from the parents, the coaches, the retiring athletes, and the young athletes. And I think, if that psychology and the culture can be built and maintained, it's very valuable for the young athletes coming through in that pathway for success.
And I would say, like, one of the reasons why Australia is worldwide respected and feared when it comes to like swimming is because you guys have such a long lineage of excellence going back. And it's, again, like the coaches and the federations and the athletes really saying, this is our legacy and we have to keep this
up. That's right. I think Swimming Australia, they and the US swim team, they're very focused on that legacy element, and people have to understand who came before them and that legacy that the current athletes are holding for the sport in general. And I think it's a very powerful message, and it's no different for the Guam swimmers.
And basketball, number 2 in the world.
Yeah.
Volleyball, also very, very. That's my sport. You guys are really, really highly ranked. They're incredibly impressive. So. Yeah. Equally so, Matthew. A great honor to talk to you and everything like that. Half a day. We hope you have a wonderful trip here, and thank you for just imparting the wisdom on my friends back here.
No, thanks for having me.
We truly appreciate it.
Thank you.